Transpacific race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis of Seahorse magazine, giving you the 17 July position report for the 50th edition of the Transpacific Race to Hawaii. Opening up here as we do every day with the tracker. And as you can see, more progress out on the course. Let me zoom in. Everybody's now, just about everybody, a few port tackers, but most of the fleet still seems to be riding the lift up around the high center, which is up here to the north. And a lot of them are past the halfway point, which is somewhere in this area here. And they're having a great race. The reports from the race course are fantastic. In fact, we'll give a little bit of a report now from some of the teams. And this just is a little bit of news for those following, just to keep you apprised of what's going on. Everybody who was retired from the race is back except for one. The live wire team out here, Olsen 40, Tim Jones's boat, is still making their way back under jury rig, but all the other boats that have retired for the race are in safely. I did get a report today from Livewire and the Commodore, the Buccaneer Yacht Club in San Pedro, where they're based. They say as follows: the struggles and uncertainties suffered in the dark turned to hope and joy in the light. Philosophical thoughts there. Livewire's 0800 coordinates indicate they're less than 130 miles offshore, heading directly for Angel's Gate. We also learned from Livewire that they had some fuel in reserve. They plan to start the engine and motor sail when they reach the light air that is predicted between San Nicolas Island and Catalina. They feel they will be able to make it to port unassisted. So that's the latest. So we certainly have them in our thoughts and prayers with a little over, this was at 0800 this morning Pacific time, so we're well past that, and they're just making steady progress. So we wish them luck. They're the tail enders of those that have had to retire from the race. Now, as you can see, the big jibe for the leaders, the Mod 70s, Maserati, Power Play, and Argo. It's actually interesting. I'm going to play back something I was looking at earlier. Now let me close. I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to play back where they were yesterday and how they got there. So keep your eye on the lead boats, these trimarans, those icons, and we can see where they jibe. But I thought there was an interesting couple of tactical moves here, right in this part of the course. So Maserati closing fast. They had some damage to one of their foils on the port side. They appeared to be like a lame duck, or at least the reports coming from them suggested they were really kind of throttled back. But I don't know. 24.6 knots is pretty fast. They seem to be speeding along pretty well. Now, this was on the 15th of July in the evening, Hawaii time. Power Play going 28 knots, quite fast. And Argo 25 knots. Now, a few knots here and there is understandable. These speed reports are snapshots at the time the tracker has taken the ping at that time designated. So they could be, in normal sailing, they could be between squalls. It's hard to say. It's not an average at all. It is a snapshot. So when we look at this snapshot in time, so 8 o'clock in the evening Hawaii time, notice, think of yourself as a tactician on a buoy race, and you're going downwind, VMG sailing. You're in the lead here. You expect the wind to go further right, okay, to lift further. Your rivals are here behind and a little bit to leeward, and another guy coming on fast behind you. So I thought it was interesting the moves they made. Now there's Argo. Look at Argo jibing. And here comes everybody else jibing as well. So follow the leader. That's easy tactical decisions for Argo. Now look at Argo jibe back. And then jibe back again. And now Power Play is on starboard, Argo on port. I mean, they've closed the distance between the two, although these are still great distances relative to most of us sailing normal boats. But in time terms, because these boats are so fast, it's not far at all. And look at this. Now, that's a danger area for Argo because now they've got their competition to the right and they expect the shift to go right. So they don't want that scenario. That's dangerous, as anybody buoy racing would know. And so they jibe back for a cover. Now, Power Play is to their right. If the breeze goes really far right, and if it goes fast, that gap there, multiplied by the amount of the shift, will allow them to close that gap. So the dangerous scenario for Argo. So that's why they jibed and covered. Now, interestingly, they jibed back. Now, could that have been because they just got a massive lift, a local lift, that just made it impossible not to jibe, to gain some more ground on these guys because the shift went really hard that way? That's possible. But in the big picture, of course, they want to jibe back and stay between your man and the hoop, just like 1-on-1 basketball. Now, Power Play went really, really far out to the corner. Argo, I'm sure, has some way to see where they are, and they must have some of this same communication and internet capability that we have. So in having seen them gone that far, I'm sure they decided, you know what, we're not going to let them go. We're going to check in a little bit, take one jibe over just to stay between them and the finish. So this is a interesting scenario, and Argo covering basically is now just in a covering mode. At the 0800 report this morning that we got, their VMG. So while the tracker might be reporting their speed, let's bring that back. Sorry, the tracker is reporting their speed, and there we are. So that's showing their speed over the ground, but it's not giving VMG information. I think if we go back here, yeah, that just gets us to Facebook. We don't want that. But that doesn't give you the VMG. However, our daily position reports at 0800 do. And at 0800, Argo VMG down the course toward the finish was 19.7 knots at a distance of 412.5 miles. So doing the math, that's 21.1 hours. And 21.1 hours from this time, which was 0500 Hawaii Standard Time, puts them in 21 hours. So that's about 0100 local time, Thursday morning. So they would be expected at Diamond Head late tonight or early tomorrow morning, Hawaii Standard Time. So the troops are rallying in Waikiki and Honolulu, anticipating the arrival of Argo as first to finish. Let's just look to see on the wind if there's anything funny going on the course that they may have to avoid. And the answer is really no. Everything's green, so good solid 15 to 20 knots. And even increasing in this area, the orange area in the windy graphics program is 20 plus knots. So their final approach should be pretty solid. Coming in here, they'll go down the Molokai Channel between Molokai here and Oahu to finish at Diamond Head. Now, people may ask about record pace. These boats go tremendously fast. 29 knots is certainly a good speed. And the answer is no. They're well off the record. That record was set in 2017 by Mighty Merlot and Orma 60 at 4 days, 6 hours. So by finishing tonight, they'll be well off that pace, which is too bad. I think it was that speed bump the first night out that caught everybody who was a Saturday starter. But nonetheless, I think they would agree, and we'll certainly hear from them tomorrow on what a great race this was. Meanwhile, for everybody else, the other one to watch, the first to finish amongst the Monohulls, will likely be Comanche. Let's see, at 0800 today, they were going 16.4 knots VMG with 728 miles to go. So that's over 44 hours from Hawaii time of 0500 this morning. Hawaii time of, yes, that's right, 0500 this morning, so 0800 Pacific time. Again, that's going to put them well off record pace that same boat set 2 years ago at 5 days, 1 hour, and 55 minutes. So again, speed bump the first night out has deprived all these guys of record runs for this edition of Transpac, which again isn't to say they're not having a great race. We'll do a little bit more analysis to see if there was some extraordinary 24-hour daily runs. Haven't heard anything yet in relation to any record set in that category, but we'll certainly be keeping our eye out for it. Boats jibing back on this side rather than this side of the run line, that's all interesting. It may be, again, they have the same or similar predictive tools that we do. If you can see slightly, I'm not sure if it shows up in the video, but there are areas out here of orange, meaning higher pressure in the predictive. I'm sorry, this is at 10 o'clock. Interesting. These wind arrows here are for a later time than is shown in the position. So we would just have to advance the icons a little bit to show them a little deeper into the fields that they're heading for. These orange areas in here show pretty good breeze. That could be what these guys are jibing for. It could also be they're just lifted enough that they look at their VMG and they're going to make better VMG toward Hawaii on this jibe. They're not worried at all about the wind going light down here, so why not? It's all about best VMG sailing to Hawaii once you get up into this range of the race course. Provided you avoid, now look at this up here, and we saw this a little bit in yesterday's analysis, is this ridge up in here of light to moderate wind. If you look at it literally, you'd think, Medicine Man's in trouble, Kealoha's in trouble, no compromise, they're up here in that blue zone. Now, Kealoha going 8.8 knots, that's not terribly fast. I think that boat's probably capable of a little bit more than that. Yeah, so they're, we may see, or they may have already done it. Maybe these guys have jibed for more breeze further south. What's puzzling to me is why Trader has stuck so far up close to ley line. They could be in trouble by simply, they've committed to this track. There's not a lot they can do. As you can see, VMG, they're headed straight at the mark. The downside is they're going 9.5 knots, which for an Andrews 70 is not really fast. Most of the boats of that sled class are certainly going faster than that. If we, like Grand Illusion, for example, down here, 11.1 knots. There's probably a few other sleds that we can look at. Nelson Merrick 68 Bolt, 10.6. Taxi Dancer is leading that sled class. They're going 12.6. So that's kind of a more typical boat speed for boats in that sled class. I also need to do a little shout out here for my pals on Gamble. This is a Shock 40. They worked really hard to be in this race. This is a boat, a 40-foot boat with a canting keel. That canting keel makes it at that size, and with a canting keel, there's safety restrictions that they had to meet in order to comply with the stability standards of the race. The owner, Jason Siebert, worked really hard on that, and they made the modifications necessary. That has compromised the performance of the boat a little bit, but they were a Saturday starter. I mean, we could say maybe that wasn't fair, but they do have a movable appendage, and therefore they needed to be in the same division with the others that do. They're going along at 10 knots, which isn't too bad. That boat will certainly get up and go, I think the latest report we got from them, if I can look down here, sorry, I'm just scrolling off screen on another page, but finally got some reports from Gamble. Yes, they said Spent yesterday holding down the back of the boat. A couple of patches of sunny sky. Nice speeds with the A1 up. So A1 means the breeze is still ahead for them, and if they've got clouds, that means also that they're not quite into the easterly trades. So they'll be getting into the good stuff soon. We wish them luck. They do have an embedded reporter, not reporter, I would say, he's a videographer. Justin Edelman is providing us some daily video reports of life on board a Shock 40 heading to Hawaii. So if you get a chance, go onto the website and check those out. And just a couple of other interesting notes. Everybody else is reporting just tremendous racing conditions, great sailing, and I think I'll let you all explore the leaderboard yourselves to just see who's in the lead. I don't think that's changed a whole lot for all the divisions, but it will start getting interesting. For example, I think it was let's see, yeah, I think in Division 6 was it? Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my scores here. Remember that the standings are calculations based on assumptions, so they're not entirely accurate, and therefore we don't take them too seriously. But some of these boats, yes. Division 3, Brett Walda 3 was leading that division for most of the race and has just been passed a little bit by Hamashi. Hamashi's a J125, well-sailed boat. They'd actually sent in a photo yesterday of their boat under high-speed planing conditions, taken from a drone they have on board. So it's real champagne sailing out there if they feel they can be planing at 20 knots on a J125 and still flying a drone, taking photos. That's certainly hats off to them. Anyway, so I'll sign off with that. We'll rejoin you tomorrow from Honolulu and have some reports on how the Mod 70s did on this last leg of their journey to Hawaii. So for now, I'm going to sign off. Say so long. I'm Dobbs Davis from Transpacific Yacht Club, and join us again tomorrow.